And we are live for another Columbia edition of the podcast with Elliot
Hello,
StJames.
Hey guys, hey everybody out there. Hey Sean.
So it is Mud Pump month. I was a little hesitant as to it's a short story when you're talking about a mud pump, but
Yeah, I got stuck with the mud pump. Aaron got out of this one somehow.
Aaron hasn't had to do any of the Columbia ones yet.
Okay. Aaron saw mud pump. He didn't return your email or your text, right? He saw one. He's like, I'm not doing that.
That's a
I mean, go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things about it, because I've been putting some thought into it, nothing works without it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one of the base questions that I have here is before pumps, but there isn't before pumps.
No, I believe in the 50s when the Ames brothers invented the set, there was flat boxes and a pump and perhaps some angle tools. So there never hasn't been that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there might have been for a minute, but not very long. No. So
yeah, so it's just in case anybody is watching, this is the mud pump, right? It's basically just a piston, right?
Correct.
And that just sucks the mud up. This is new, right? When did you start putting that gasket in there like that?
I think about 3 years ago. So we used to have a flat gasket there, like kind of like when you have on your motor, Yes, you got it.
So this guy here, but eventually that dries up, and you just buy a replacement just like anything else.
Or you can lose it as well. So this one's inset into there. So
yeah. And I thought it was something way newer than that until I came home and took this one apart, and I had both gaskets in there.
Shit.
Previous to this, I had a level 5 set. It was just to get me up off the ground, and it doesn't have that. So I think without thinking, I threw it in there. It was just extra sealed.
It's the old one worked. It just, you could lose it or just the old one worked fine. It just having it inset's a little nicer. I don't know if it seals any better, to tell you the truth, but you won't lose it, and it's in there. You don't have to mess with it. You don't have to add it to the assembly.
It's a lot more convenient. So sometimes when that box filler, you put it in and you close it, you would kind of slide the gasket around a little bit in it.
Okay.
So with this, it's just dead nuts. You crank it shut and it's done. So just kind of wanted to go over the attachments of it. This is actually a box filler attachment. Looks a lot like that. But when you've got your throttle box, you just pop that out, hangs on the chain. There are very small things that you guys have done like that chain that I just think is brilliant. You don't throw this out because it's in the bottom of the water bucket when it's attached to the pump by a chain.
Sure, many have been lost. I heard one time that in Israel, guys kept on losing angle heads because the kids would get like 25 cents or 15 cents for the buckets.
Okay.
So they come to job sites and they come back and their water bucket would be gone and their tools. So bottom of buckets is where some tools live, and with a chain on it, it doesn't happen.
That happened once with me. I had my 2.5 in the bottom of the bucket, and I dumped it out over a grate, and it was there, but if it wasn't for the grate, it would have been gone.
And I've heard a lot of guys have also mixed up their angle heads, like with a mixer, because there's a bit of anyway. That's another story.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, gooseneck.
Yeah, the gooseneck's a brilliant idea. Was that always around? Because I know you can pump it out of just like where you would do the throttle box.
So if you're talking to a taper from America, they don't know what you're talking about. They've always used a gooseneck. In Canada, they do what's called filling off the side.
Yes.
Which you may have done, or you've tried doing, where you hold your hand out. You got to have a pretty good wingspan to do it.
Yes.
And it's probably not ergonomic. Like, it's probably not recommended you do it that way over your career, but people do it. People do it. Yeah.
So I've forgotten the gooseneck at home, and I've done it.
Sure.
But it is, it's a day and night difference of of wrestling with this thing or making it work. Have you seen them change much over the course? Like, it's a pretty simple design, right? It's kind of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
The pump is like you said, it's the workhorse. Everything goes, all the mud goes through it, unless you're grabbing it with your knife in your pan. Everything goes through that pump. It lives in the mud for the most part. There are people that take them out and clean them, but majority of I see that lives in the, you're driving down the freeway, you'll see one go by you in a bucket with a pump handle on top. So no, it other than your rubber seals, which maybe, I mean, if you wanted to take it out and clean it every night, here's the math on that. So you take it out, of course, I'm the manufacturer, right? So I should be like, take it out and clean it every night, like, all that type of stuff. But anyways, the math on that is, what would it take you to clean your pump? Do you think about 15 minutes or 10? Probably 10,
Yeah.
7, some number like that.
Give or take, if you're re-oiling and doing things like that. Sure. Yeah, for sure.
So you've got, let's call it 10 minutes to do that. If you did that 5 days a week, that's about an hour a week, 4 hours a month. Extrapolate that over the year, 200 and some odd hours,
Yeah.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to replace your seals every 3 years or 4 years? Just kind of one of those things. Like you could, I don't know. I actually don't know as we speak what the repair kit is for it. I think it's about $30 or something like that for all the new rubber parts.
Yeah.
So I remember years ago it was $23, but I'm sure it's 30 now. But yeah, do you want to spend those those minutes doing that, or do you want to just replace your seals? It's kind of a question. That's, to me, it's individual. It's up to an individual how they want to do it. I've cleaned lots of pumps in my life, and man, do they discharge a lot of mud, right? When you pull them apart.
Oh, yep.
Right? So like a lot of states and a lot of US states don't like that. Like California doesn't want no mud going down the drain and stuff. So I don't know. That's a personal thing, in my opinion. As a manufacturer, I'm sure I should do something like you should clean it all the time, every day, but people will just roll their eyes, right? I mean, do you clean yours every day, or after a week, or after a job?
No. At the end of the job, I'll clean it. The gooseneck will get cleaned same day. Sure. Just because
you want it to flow. Yeah, you want it to flow.
Yeah, totally. Same with the box filler. I take a hose. It's got like a flat setting to it, so you kind of get it. It's kind of easy to almost scrape with the water. So I'll blast through a couple of things, but the pump itself, as long as I feel like there's no air being exchanged, I'm happy to leave it. But then a real good clean before it goes back. Everything now gets fully cleaned and then kind of sprayed down with fluid film, any sort of like silicone spray.
Smart. Yeah, I mean, it's really the debate. I've met drywallers that with a family company, the Columbia Taping Tools, the family company. My dad used to build tools before we worked there, and while we worked there. And I've had guys come in with 25, 30-year-old tools that are the original set. But I would say if I've met 30 or 40 guys like that, everyone was like a nightly kind of cleaner guy, so yeah, I mean, if you're going to clean your tools every day, you're going to get, it's a value proposition. Do you want to spend the time, or do you want to buy new tools every X amount of years? That's kind of the question. Where do you fall in that spectrum?
I'm a buy new tools guy, really. Like, and it depends what it is. I love that throttle box. It gets a full clean when I'm done with it every time. The angle heads get a full clean when I'm done every time. The boxes have been put in like garbage bags for a few days. It just, it's kind of the level of difficulty as well. Before
you're doing it right.
Before I start each site, like yesterday was this day for me. I get everything out, check everything. I kind of do my due diligence prior to the site starting, and I feel like that maybe it helps on the back end when you're not, you know what I mean? Like, you're not damaging the tool, you're just letting the mud dry, maybe. Yeah.
No, I know. I think a good operator would have your approach, like kind of a mix of keeping them wet when you're working, but when you're done the job and they're going to sit for 2 days, doing a clean. I think that's probably right in the middle, like you're doing, is the best. I mean, I'm not going to knock the guys that clean them every night, because I don't knock them at all. And do I knock the guys that never clean them? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's probably good for business.
It's great for business,
right? It's probably good for business. So, but also too, I've met guys that guys that work 10 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. So maybe they're never really that dry either. So that's another side of it. But yeah, no, it's when I was, over the years I've changed, but now I don't care what people do with their tools. And what I've realized is there's no right way of doing it. There's just your way of doing it, whatever your way is. So
right.
Yeah, and the pump would be probably the one that gets the least cleaning.
I would think so,
Great.
right? Because you're using it basically every step of the way. Like sanding
Yeah,
day is the day that the pump doesn't get touched.
sure,
Pretty,
sure. And then people
pretty much.
pretty much, and then people will. I've seen people bag them, but like you talk
Hmm.
about the Safeway bag or the whatever your local grocery store is, that bag. And I've done it myself when we do, different things we've done with our company, and it works. It works.
Uh,
Yeah.
Rip It Tools has those rubber
Yep.
stoppers, right?
Yep.
So I've got two pumps now, and I've got a set of each. So there's one for the gooseneck and there's one for the box filler, and
How do
then
they
the
work?
amazing. Yeah.
Good.
I
Good.
sometimes when you pull them out, there's some crusty shit around the outside, but I mean,
Sure.
where that contact's happening, it stays good. I've never
Cool.
had a problem with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Rip It stuff. It's cool stuff. Yeah.
It's neat, and it was just one of those things where it's like, do you want to spend $30 and not have to clean it every day? That's kind of the way that I looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. And then when you go onto
Well,
some sites, they've got plastic bags and shit stuffed into the, you know what I mean? They're
yeah.
trying to do it without spending the money, so it's, which is all well and good, but as long as you're getting the same outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the pump lives in the bucket for the most part. It's very reliable, the design of it. We didn't design it. It came from the original design. All we really changed was putting the lever on the handle, the 20-degree angle, which helps a little bit, gets a little higher if you're on stilts, and
Okay.
gives it a little bit more of a lever effect. You'll see that on grease guns and different things too. It's not rocket science, just a bit of a bend, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I enjoy that. Me
Yeah.
standing up straight is like some people on stilts. I feel sometimes like what
Yeah, you're tall. Yeah, you're a tall guy. Yeah.
you're not bent right over. That tall boy pump. What a difference that made. Uh,
Yeah.
what started that?
Okay, so two of the major mud companies in America were doing a bucket program.
Okay.
One of them was USG, which is CGC in Canada,
Hmm.
and the other was Hamilton, which is Westpac in California. It's not out your way, but anyways,
I don't think so.
they're out of
Hmm.
California, and they were both doing a bucket program. And what they were doing was like kind of like a Rubbermaid garbage can size,
Okay.
and it was for commercial contractors, so they thought they could save time, or they can save time on mixing their mud in a larger batch. It's maybe is it 5.5 or some, not 8 boxes, some between 5 and 6.5 boxes, I think,
Wow.
quite
Okay.
a bit. And the tall boy, of course, would fit in there, and that's what that sleeve on the tall boy for it slides up and down the leg was to select the top of the bucket height. So we got asked to do it, and we were working on it, and Aaron, my brother, and I were working on it, and we put it in a 5-gallon pail with the sleeve all the way down,
Hmm.
just to try it out, just to test water in it, and just to our initial test. And I started pumping, and I looked over at him, and I was like, "Whoa, this would save your lower back
Yeah.
from the bending down." So we thought it had an application for, and then stilts as well, right? Like, and people have done all sorts of stuff with it. They've bought the regular pump and put the tall boy gooseneck on and put it up on a sunny scaffold, or like a Perry scaffold,
Yeah.
and or metal tech or whatever. And then they have the gooseneck on the ground, and then they can pump up higher. And I've seen all different. The only problem with the tall boy pump is you've got all that huge cylinder to clean as well, right? Have you cleaned
Yeah.
one before? Yeah.
Not yet, but I'm assuming there's gonna be like a third of a bucket of mud in that thing.
And of course you pull it out, but it's just a longer throw. It's just longer. I love the thing. I'm 45, and I would use one myself for my
Totally.
back. I would, but a lot of these drivers are tough guys. I mean, they're
Yeah.
tough, and they don't doesn't seem to bother them to it's. I don't know. I don't know. I would use one, but would I've used one when I was younger? I don't know. What about you? When you were 25, would you have used one? A
Oh,
tall one?
I feel like when I was 25, I was like intentionally doing things to hurt myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there was just no thought process. I was like made of rubber. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
sure it would have occurred to me to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's often we don't sell a ton of them. It's probably 10 to 1 regular pump still.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love that we offer it. And a lot of guys took it, and without the barrel program, because the barrel program, you got the actual blue bucket from the mud manufacturer. A lot of guys have just taken Rubbermaid buckets, and they just like it. And they have it on a dolly with
Yep.
a like a click strap to a dolly, and they just I mean, how often is mixing mud like an issue for you on the site? Is it annoying, or is it part of the cadence of the job? Like,
So I don't love it if it's tons. I'll do like 3 buckets at a time if I know I'm going to be running it.
okay,
And then I'll just pour from one to the next.
Perfect.
I'm gonna find something bigger now that I've
Sure.
got this. I
Yeah.
want to get some footage and experience it just using a 5 gallon. And then
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find what I deem to be a proper way of utilizing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the problem with the 5 gallons, I think the the tall boy takes about I don't know, a gallon and a half into itself.
I'm
Like,
gonna be
yeah,
shocked if it doesn't. Yeah.
yeah. So right away, you're down to 2.5 gallons or
Yeah.
three gallons out of the gate. But yeah, no, we love it. We have our religious followers of it, but again, it's not for everybody. It's just, I guess it's harder to haul around. It's bigger, all that type of stuff. So
I was gonna say that it is living in my back seat of my truck now on the floor, and it is
yeah,
very clunky compared to the
funky.
other.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I mean, if I took it apart, it wouldn't be like that's all part
sure,
of it, right?
sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's like $100 more though. I don't know why not everyone's doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really excited to use it.
good, good.
I've got an old fridge dolly, like it's just on
Oh,
casters, and
sure.
I've got a 3/4 inch piece of plywood on it that I'm going to roll around with this.
Good.
Usually I would have to have like a baker or something to keep it up to the
Yeah,
height that I want it to
that
be
was the
at.
word I was looking for. Baker scaffold. That's what I was
Mhm.
looking for. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're smaller, but to me that's like a roll around cart. I'm not even sure that's rated for my weight. So I
Yeah,
try to stay off of them.
yeah.
Actually, I just got new 2 and 3 steps from CSR. It's got like a 10-inch or 12-inch top step, and they're rated 300 plus. So
Okay,
I'm really excited to kind of put that to the test too.
cool.
So maintaining this, we kind of talked about that. I know Phil, and actually, same. I'll put it in a thing of water and just pump it and pump it and pump it. That kind of takes away from what you were saying, where you've got that like football of mud that comes out of it. You can
Yeah,
get most of it back into a bucket before you're going to do that. And then, yeah, you're just spraying everything where metal's contacting and spraying the bottom real good with silicone spray, and you're off to the races, right?
yeah. No, it's a fairly low maintenance tool,
Do you
given the environment it lives in.
Yes, and it's super resilient for the same
Yeah.
reason, right? It's if you were leaving stuff covered in mud, other tools, I don't think they would be as happy about it as the pump.
The only thing that happens that most people don't know about, and the reason why they don't know is because it doesn't affect anything, is as you wear the interior diameter of the pump tube, it's anodized, but as you wear it, you get kind of a blow-by effect where you're pumping and the pump will kind of continue to pump a bit,
Oh, okay.
like over time as it wears.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. It may leave a drop on the floor to your box filler. It may ooze a bit after you remove your taper from the gooseneck. That's what happens over time. But guys don't really notice because it's not a huge deal to scrape up at the end of the job a little bit of mud or something. But that when you lose your tightness, it blows by the outside of the seal, from what I understand.
Okay.
And I've seen it too. So,
Um, so when I have the gooseneck out, I put it in a box of mud, like the empty box, and it catches it. I see a lot of guys using like a hawk, like a pan.
Pan, yeah, the pan.
And same thing. But like you said, a little bit. If that's all the mud that goes on the floor, I would be shocked because I'm very messy. So
Sure. Oh, I'm horrible because I'm not professional. Like I'm a machinist. I'm not a drywaller, so I'm bad. Well, you saw me do that fresco. There's stuff all over the floor. So
yep.
yeah, no, it's difficult. That's a real journeyman thing to learn how not to seal.
Yeah.
I've had for guys who don't.
Well, and to be honest, until now, I've not been worried about it because I know that
Yeah.
I'll clean it, or I'll get someone else to come and clean it.
Yeah.
But it is that professionalism now where I'm becoming more careful with the floor and leaving anything on the wall that doesn't look perfect. There is kind of this, like, once you start running things, then you kind of want to make yourself stand out a little further. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a guy in Saskatoon. He's actually in Regina, sorry, and he rolls out every job with brown paper.
Oh
And
yeah.
just as a like a professionalism thing. And
Hmm.
now I'm not sure. Some guys get so good they don't need it though. They don't
Totally.
drop it. They don't drop any. So yeah.
Yeah, there are guys that you talk to, and then there's sites that I've been on where it's like you're wondering how they got it on the
Yeah.
wall. There's nothing anywhere, and
Yeah.
you like usually there's even residue of scraping, and they don't even have that. So
No. Maybe one day, hey, Sean. Maybe one day.
I doubt it.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Good.
You like
So
you like my
oh
my cup here,
yeah. Yeah.
the
Okay.
special Brawley's
Brawley's
Dad
dad.
edition.
Yeah. How's Brawley doing this summer? Is he enjoying the summer off?
Good man. Yeah, he went. We got McMaster University down in Hamilton where we grew up, and they've got a little a reactor down there. So he went and did that tour last week and
Really?
did an engineering course. Not
Oh,
really a
that's
course,
great.
but like a weekly like camp.
He likes
Um,
science. You told me he likes science and space and stuff, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
Cool.
Yeah, next week's coding. You got to keep him busy. He's the same as me, but we caught on it a little earlier where it's like just keep him busy, and
Good.
he's content, right? We've not left him to his own devices to see how much trouble he can get in yet. So hopefully we don't run into that.
Kids these days have trouble getting in trouble. They're too entertained, I think.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Most of the time.
you, you would think so. Anyways,
I'm sure some find a way. But yeah, so what else is going on in the drywall world? What else you're doing? Fresco Harmony?
yeah, definitely a lot of Fresco Harmony. Getting into some bigger houses now. I've kind of gone from frame board tape to just now taping. Like I'm doing is finishing, so it's a lot more high-end residential work where this next site's got 2,000 linear feet of shadow bead, which is a new thing for me. It's a lot, but if you grab it by the horns,
I
right?
don't think I know what shadow bead is, but I might know. But it might have a different name that I.
So if you've got a doorway, you'll come back a half inch and you'll cut the perimeter out of it, and it's basically like a C channel of plastic.
Okay,
And then
okay.
it just gives everything this indented frame.
Oh, okay.
It's really sharp. When we're done, I'll send you pictures. It's
Sure, yeah.
Sure. I'll find the best parts and send you pictures.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I don't think I could talk about the mud pump anymore. What else can we talk about the mud pump? We can't really. Our mud pump is obviously our mud pump. People have made automatic ones like to fill tools more quickly. There's one out there by Graco, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't used it, and I think maybe Phil has.
Cam was sent one, and he says it's life changing.
Cool.
I just think if you're doing the volume that those guys do, you're pumping a lot.
You need volume to justify the price and everything, right? But
it's quite expensive. Yeah, it's like tenfold. Yeah.
People have tried them over the years. There was a couple different attempts at it, and they were decent. It just there's something about just having the manual.
Mm-hmm.
They can trust it, right? When they go to a job site, they don't need to have electricity, which most job sites obviously have electricity for your drill. But if the power goes out, or if there's some malfunction, they can fix a normal pump. I think it's a cool idea. I do. I just think you'd need to have some volume. That's all. But,
yeah, and
I'd like to try one.
The thing I like about this pump is if it stops working, I'm confident enough to take it apart and kind of troubleshoot what it is. I'm not taking a electrical anything apart. Everything's covered in mud, and then that's kind of the end of your day. I guess what we could talk about is some people are using the tubes. Like you've got the box filler on the end of the tube.
That's like an Australian thing, and predominantly an Australian thing. Because we have a cam lock tube where you can remove the cone off and you put that filler on. It's okay. Yeah, I mean, I just would always have a pump personally, but
it's a lot slower.
If I was a home reno guy, maybe I would do it that way.
So when the second go around of buying tools, I grabbed a 10, a tube with the cam lock,
Yeah.
some tomahawks, like just to kind of get me a little bit closer to the end.
Yeah.
And almost immediately got a pump.
Yeah.
Because it's a little wild. If you're doing any sort of board feet, you
Yeah.
that's what the pump's for.
Sure.
It's
Yeah, and if you're doing huge square feet, that's where we talk about an automatic pump potentially. But
mhm.
you know what in Japan, they they fill the box, they open the door and they fill it with a knife.
I see that. There's
Yeah,
the new pink
video.
but yeah, and I'm like, what are you
Yeah,
guys doing over there?
yeah. So we just had them in to the factory. They flew in
Okay.
from Japan, and we were talking pumps and stuff and what they could add to the process over there. I guess 90% of their walls are done with like a wall sizing, wallpaper.
Okay.
So they just finish a little differently over there, but they're about 10 or 20% now, probably 15 to 18% are being done with paint now. So that's why they're just starting with the boxes and stuff. So,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because that level of finish didn't have to be there before.
No, with the wall sizing, no. I think you get away with quite a bit. Other than what do you think you'd be a 16th of an inch ledge, and you probably maybe 32nd, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't need.
Yeah.
I
I
don't know
mean,
about that. Yeah.
well, when I was running sites, whenever we were specing wallpaper or like a decal or anything like that, it called for a level 5 because it's
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Well, practice through.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
you'll see it, right? Because you are spreading that so thin, and especially if it's got a design to it, or like if it was
Okay.
a flat color, maybe not, but usually it's like it'll say the name of the company or it's some sort of a picture
Level
or
five
whatever.
behind the paper. Wow, that's
Yeah.
an expensive wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always so shocked where,
Mm.
like, why don't you just buy a fucking thing and put it there like a picture frame? But
Yeah.
you always let people spend their money where they want to.
Yeah. When you and I talked about texture
hmm
in the southern USA, like in California and New Mexico and Arizona and over to Florida, all texture like knockdown or texture. And then as you go north towards the border, Minnesota, you get a lot more smooth wall, and Montana and Washington State even, but you get texture there too. I think Canada's almost all smooth wall.
I'm not seeing a whole lot different than that. I'm starting to
Yeah.
see it now where you're seeing fresco, you're seeing Venetian,
Yeah.
that like micro cement, American clay, things like that, where I
Yeah.
think designers are I think getting younger. They're making a bigger name for themselves, right? So having flat walls everywhere is I would find that very boring if I was designing houses. Like I would be
Yeah.
looking for ways for each room to go wow. And
Yeah.
and that's kind of in my opinion how you do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. What do you think is I mean we can continue to talk on the mud pump theme, but what do you think
Mhm.
is like the youth? I mean, you're not old, but like do you have any young guys in your crew in their early 20s, or do you have like what are they thinking of the work of drywall finishing nowadays? I'm actually asking. I know and I don't know. Like I don't meet a lot of young guys.
So I've
20.
I've met through this kind of community that we're building through CSR. I've met a
Sure.
couple of young people
Okay.
and quite young,
Yeah.
and they're good. Like you
Good.
you can really see the people that have put in the time
Mhm.
and that are being serious about it. And until I started the podcast, I really thought we were in trouble. And
Mm.
and through that, I've talked to a few people. Cam's a young guy. I
Yeah,
think he's
he's like
10.
how old is 26, 27 or something like
Yeah,
that?
I think he's
Yeah.
10 years younger than me. And I
Yeah,
mean,
he's young. Yeah.
he knows exactly
He's
what
good.
he's doing. It does
Good.
not come across that he's that much younger than you. So I think there's always going to be people like that. And I
Mm.
think, the generations are always going to get slumped in with whoever the worst in that generation is.
True.
Do you
True.
know what I mean?
True. Yeah, I
So
do.
there's always going to be those kind of diamond in the rough people.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm kind of finding is the amount of women that are coming too. So maybe the
Yeah.
percentage of people that are going to be really good is lower, but there's twice as many because you've got both working now in the trades. Not that they weren't before, but not as like
You know,
predominantly, I guess.
that's actually where the throttle box came from.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There was a fella that worked with his wife, a really neat guy, and his wife, like a couple that did it as a team. He's like, I'd like my wife to be able to run the corner box could you make it like the power assist box kind of? And I went back and we made the throttle box. So, and his wife's able to run it. So that was that. I sent it there. He said, yeah, it worked. She could do it. So yeah, the women coming into the trade. Yeah. I mean, it's a good living. And here's the thing. Can we talk about drywallers in general?
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I think drywallers are a unique subculture of construction.
Yeah.
They're not glory hounds like the framers get to frame and stand back and see, and all that kind of stuff. But you've done a lot of different things. You are a framer as well, right?
Yep.
So, but the drywaller comes in, nobody's on the site with them. They're alone. The hanger makes quite a difference because you give definition to the home. You go from looking right through to, but the finisher who tapes the joints and floats the butts and does everything, there's not that much of a difference. It's very different for the painter, but to the homeowner or to the naked eye, it's not that different. But they come in, they're left alone. They don't have a lot of help. It's usually 1, 2, or 3 guys.
Yep.
And it's you and your tools when you walk in, right? It's like there's a pyramid of mud there and there's a plug and a hose hopefully up front, right?
Yeah.
And nothing's going to move that job forward other than you and your tools, right? But mainly you. But it's a unique job. I didn't know that when I was younger, as I was just doing my job in the factory. But as I started to look at it and understand it better, it's a unique job to have. It's an unsung job. It's a hard job. Drywallers are tough, but they're also mentally kind of tough because they're alone and nobody says really. I wouldn't say nobody says thanks, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no thanks needed. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you get a lot of, you're a personable guy, but do you get a lot of compliments? You probably do.
I do from painters now because I'm asking asking them. And same with customers. I think what people are used to, and then what I'm doing, just because like I'm going way up here. Like I look at guys like Phil, and that's what I'm trying to replicate, not just make it so the painter's not mad. So some people that are used to seeing hand tooling, and then you come in and you use the automatic tools, they're like, holy shit, this was fast and it's all straight, and you know what I mean, it's very uniform. So
very uniform. So I think the dweller is a unique position in the construction of a home or a building. It's very important. It's not easy to pick up. You just don't pick it up in a day. And there's not a lot of thanks for the job, and they're it's not that a framer doesn't face those same challenges. It's not that a painter or roofer doesn't as well, but there's just something about drywall because you're inside, nobody sees you. I don't know. There's something different about it, and I can't quite describe it. I just want to talk to you about it because you do it. So, how would you describe that part of it? It's good because you've done other parts of construction as well, right?
Yeah. We've got about 2 minutes until this is done. Why don't we wrap this up and we'll get into the next episode?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us for Pump Month. That was a lot better than what I thought it was going to turn out to be, man. So that you saved us.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Okay, everybody, be humble, treat everyone the same, and do your fucking job.